All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to the spicy topic for today's show. We know all that happened the last couple of days. It would have been yesterday if I would have done the show by Wednesday, but I didn't. I was not shocked about the news of Jaxson Dart taking over for Russell Wilson. In my opinion, I was pretty much expecting it. Because going away from, I had the show Monday and I talked about the Giants and the Chiefs. And I said there was an alarming stat that was Russell Wilson's 9th straight loss. He lost 5 in a row to end off the season in a regular season last year. Got smoked in the playoff game. And then obviously the first 3 games of the season, L. Even though he put on an absolute masterclass against the Dallas Cowboys. Not saying much, of course, as always. But the Giants are in a tricky spot. You have someone in Brian Daboll who is pretty much on the hot seat. If he would have kept Russell Wilson in there and they didn't make the playoffs or was even close to making the playoffs, he was gone. And I felt sorry for Brian Daboll. I feel like he hasn't been able to get a fair shot. And this is the only time where Brian Daboll has actually been able to draft his quarterback that he's wanted. He got the job with Daniel Jones, so he's never had the opportunity to get the quarterback that he's wanted. He's went through Daniel Jones, Tommy DeVito, Tyrod Taylor, if I'm not mistaken. That's all I can think of right now from the top of my head of the quarterbacks that he's had to endure in his time in New York. He's never had that franchise-leading type quarterback, even though we know what Daniel Jones is doing over there in Indianapolis right now. So this may be a Giants organizational type deal. We don't know. But for right now, all we can say is Brian Daboll has not had that, been able to draft the quarterback that he's wanted. And in this year's draft, the Giants drafted Abdul Carter with the 3rd pick. They jumped back into the first round later, and I think they drafted Jaxson Dart at 28. So finally, you get that quarterback, and Brian Daboll and the Giants took a smart approach. Sit Jaxson Dart. You already have Russell Wilson. You had Jameis Winston as well. And it's like, okay, we feel like Russell Wilson is still good. Even I thought Russell Wilson was still good enough to win you a couple of games. Let's sit Jaxson Dart. Let's pull up Patrick Mahomes, which is something I've discussed in the past. Y'all know how I feel about that. I'm like, okay, that's a smart thing to do. That's a smart move. But so far, the season has not went how the Giants have planned. I wrote it in my notes about in the previous show. Russell Wilson in the past 3 games, the past 2 games, not counting the Dallas Cowboys, has mustered up 15 points of offense. He is 16 of 32 targeting Malik Neighbors. He can't score touchdowns. If I'm not mistaken, outside of the Cowboys game, those 15 points, all of them were field goals. He has not scored a touchdown offensively outside of the Dallas Cowboys game. Russell Wilson has been bad. The sequence there at the end where they get the ball, I think they're down 9-22 at that time. You get 4 straight plays. He threw one in the tunnel on 4th down. He threw it in the back of the end zone. Didn't even give a receiver a chance. Russell Wilson has not seen the ball well. He was pretty much throwing the ball up for a prayer. He did that against the Dallas Cowboys. In my heart of hearts, I don't even think Russell Wilson thought that anybody was open. He was just throwing up prayers to Malik Neighbors. And Wan'Dale Robinson is like, oh, I hope they catch it. That's the type of football that Russell Wilson has been playing. And Russell Wilson, and when he left Sean Payton, everybody thought it was a Sean Payton problem. Like, Russell Wilson's still good. Why can't Sean Payton make him better? So he's went from Sean Payton. Sean Payton couldn't do nothing with him. He hasn't played well since he left there. Went to Pittsburgh. Didn't knock your socks off at all with Mike Tomlin. Then he's went to Brian Daboll in New York, and he sucked still. And I know a lot of people weren't expecting Russell Wilson to be Russell Wilson of old back in, Seattle days, 2014. Prime Seattle, went to 2 Super Bowls. Golden Tate at the wide receiver position. I think his name was Jermaine Kearse or something like that as well. Doug Baldwin. You didn't have to be that type of Russell Wilson. You just had to be somewhat just 70, 60% of that type player. And Russell Wilson has been far worse than that. Brian Daboll's job is on the line. 0-3. If you lose another game with Russell Wilson, the season is more than likely over. Now, I'm not a fan of starting Jaxson Dart against arguably the best defense in the league. I was totally against it. When the news happened, I was just, my first thought went, okay, let me check and make sure who the Giants are playing. They're playing arguably the hottest team in the NFL right now in the Los Angeles Chargers, led by Jim Harbaugh, who is somebody I love. But it's a tall order for Jaxson Dart. The week after, next week, they play the Saints. That was like the perfect tune-up game for Jaxson Dart. Jaxson Dart played well in the preseason. We remember all the highlights going on in the first 3 weeks of the preseason with Jaxson Dart, hitting all these throws, dancing and all this. New York Giants fans going crazy. And I know it boiled down to this. If y'all watched the game on Sunday night against the Chiefs, when Brian Burns got hurt, the Giants fans were literally chanting this while their star player on defense was hurting Brian Burns, who was an elite pass rusher for them. They were chanting, put in Jaxson or bring it, put in Dart, one of the two. They were basically chanting, put in Jaxson Dart, period. We know Brian Daboll the last couple weeks that he's been putting Jaxson Dart here for little plays here and there, but he hasn't I don't even think Jaxson Dart's thrown a pass. It's pretty much been run plays. So I felt like at some point this was going to come. You're at home. Your offense can't do anything. Malik Neighbors at the time didn't even have a touch at that point when Brian Burns got hurt and all the chants were going on. First home game, you have a home game against the Chargers. It's the best time to start for Jaxson Dart. Maybe that's the argument. He gets a home game. You're not on the road your first start. You got the fans and the crowd behind you. It'll be exciting. And it's a smart move for Brian Daboll. It's going to be exciting for the fans, exciting for the front office. This Jaxson Dart, it's time to make your money. You got a tall task. Scatabo, however, I don't even know the correct way to say the guy's name. Everybody's making a big deal about it. Chris Collinsworth and them did on Sunday Night Football on Sunday. Scatabo. He was huge for them on Sunday night. I would imagine they will try to establish the run game with him. Tracy, he has a dislocated shoulder. He'll be out for I think he said 2 to 3 weeks, so he'll be back soon. He's not going to be on IR. And in some way, form, or fashion, you're going to just trying to muster up a connection with Malik Neighbors. Malik Neighbors is an absolute stud. I feel like he has the capability to be a top 5 wide receiver. That's how good Malik Neighbors is. He is. And I'm one of those dummies when it comes to Malik Neighbors. I was draft Marvin Harrison over Malik Neighbors, but we have seen what's been going on with Marvin Harrison. Maserati Marv, I'm an Ohio State guy. I do not understand for the life of me what is going on with Marvin Harrison right now. He just can't do anything right. Did y'all guys see the wide open passes that he dropped on Sunday against the 49ers? I mean, if he catches the one ball, he was wide open. He might hit his head on the goalpost. We know how good Marvin Harrison was with that yak. That's what he was famous for in Ohio State. He can hit his head on the goalpost. But for some odd reason, Maserati Marv, he just fell off the face of the earth. Back to Malik Neighbors. Malik Neighbors is an absolute stud. You see the route running? 9 times out of 10, he's open. I mean, he was absolutely cooking my Dallas Cowboys. Just cooking them. LSU got, LSU, they have argument for being wide receiver university. You had Brian Thomas, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Malik Neighbors. 4 of these guys in the last 3 years is just absolutely phenomenal what they got going on there in LSU. But Jaxson Dart's time is now. I think it's the right, I'm a Jaxson Dart guy. If y'all did not know, I was an absolute fan of anyone taking this young kid. I thought Jaxson Dart had a lot of potential. I think he's got a lot of potential to do a lot of great things in this league. I feel like if he could have just sat, and just evaluate everything, do the Patrick Mahomes effect with Alex Smith, be ready to go next year. I thought it was a great idea. But the kid, sadly, is being forced into the fire. I'm gonna be tuning into this game. I think it's a 1 o'clock start time. My Dallas Cowboys don't play till that night. I think the Eagles has got the 4 o'clock game because the Eagles has got a good matchup. Because Philly. Who does Philly play? Hold on, fellas. Let me, ladies and gents, let me make sure I'm right here. Who does Philly play? Philly's got a good matchup. Who we got? We got Philly. Yeah, Philly plays Tampa Bay at 1 o'clock. Dang it. The scheduling for the season has been pretty garbage so far. God, it's been bad. So, Philly plays at 1 o'clock. I'm going to find a way to watch this game. Who even plays at 4 o'clock? What's the good 4 o'clock games? Okay, game of the week with Kansas City and Baltimore. That's right. Yeah, that's definitely the superior game. All right, so hey, we're going to be watching. Definitely going to be watching. And I want to be tuned into what's going on in Minnesota as well when it comes to Carson Wentz. Is Carson Wentz about to cook the Steelers at Pittsburgh? That'd be fun. But yeah, so I'm Jaxson Dart. I'm gonna be watching, and I know the whole world will be watching as well. So what do you guys think? What do you think about Jaxson Dart finally taking over as quarterback 1 for the Pittsburgh Steelers? For the New York Giants? I want to know all of your comments down below.